Clearly, this is not my usual content. It's usually about dogs. This is a video of a man I considered my great uncle, definitely close to a grandfather. Never met my grandfather on my maternal side, and this man is the closest that came to it. Definitely like an elder in that culture of my mom's family. He recently passed, and he wouldn't talk about his war stories from World War II until his 90s, not because he didn't want to talk about them, he just wasn't sure how to express them because of what he saw. When I had moments like these with him where he would tell me these stories, I always stopped and I listened, and this one I happened to record, and I got permission from his family to post this. World War II veterans are not going to be around much longer. If you have anyone in your family who went through World War II, I would definitely listen to those stories and try to record them. Anthropologically, I find this story to be pretty profound. So here you go.
One night we were out, we were a special unit, and we got called to, we had to repair a road because they were running our trucks to the front lines. It was a black company called the Red Ball Express, and they couldn't get the trucks through because the bombs just destroyed the roads. So they called us out. It was Christmas Eve, and we got called out to fill some, whatever, I don't remember exactly, potholes, I guess, or whatever.
They're selling tickets for Russia.
And we got out there, and we were in some town. I wouldn't know where I was if you laid me down there. And we started working on this road, and they put me on heavy equipment to help them. And that wasn't, you know, what I did. I was a demolition expert. So, a guy comes running down to the quarry, and he says, "Sarge, we got some Germans up here." I said, "Yeah, what?" Yeah, there was about 8 or 10 that either escaped or surrendered or ran away or whatever. And the guy says, "Let's kill these fucks." I said, "You can't kill them in cold blood."
Right.
I said, "What are you going to do? What are you going to do with the bodies?" "Well, you can't do any of this." So I said, "Okay, I'll tell you what we're going to do." We stripped them. I took away their belts and their whatever they had that they could do damage to themselves or somebody else. Anyway, to make a long story short, there was a little church nearby, and I said, "Let me go down, we'll talk to the whatever," and I went and I spoke to him. He understood English, the pastor or whatever he was, and I said, "You got to take these guys in. I can't deal with them." I said, "We're out here fixing these roads." He says, "Well, let me talk to somebody else." I was going to say shul in the church. And so they took them off our hands. And I never, because I never got back that way again. And I never knew what happened to these guys. I guess maybe some MPs or some other outfit picked them up. Or maybe they killed them. I don't know. You know.
Wow.
But I wouldn't do it. He said, "Shoot him." So I said, "What? Fuck him." He said, "Shoot him." I said, "You don't do that." He said, "Look what he did to your people." I said, "Yeah, well, I can't help what he did to my people, but I'm not going to be able to live with this."
Right.
And I didn't. It's been very easy to knock off 10. Oh, they weren't Nazis. They were German soldiers.
Okay.
You know, you had to put this thing in perspective.
Right. They didn't want to be there just as much as you didn't. Yeah.
I mean, you know, they weren't. They had nothing to do with what Hitler was doing.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's one of the things that.
That sounds tough. Yeah. What were like Europeans' perceptions of like Americans there?
Yeah. You know what?
Did they like you, or they?
Yeah, what?
Did the European civilians like Americans?
You mean in Europe during the war?
Yeah.
Yeah, except in France, I had a bad time.
Okay.
No, there's a good part of the civilians didn't like Americans.
Then of course she was rattled and shaken up afterwards.
Well, first of all, they were anti anyway. So this bunch, that was the Bataan section of the one that sided with Germany.
Oh, Vichy, yeah.
And it just ate me up for years and years. But hey, you know what?
I'm just going to go for the girls.
Yeah. Well, yeah, thanks for
But it
sharing.
was like these people will just rob anything.
Thanks for listening. I just want to add a few other things. Obviously, my mom's side of the family is Ashkenazi Jewish. My dad's side is from England, Scotland, France, all over Western Europe. But yeah, Ben, was the first of his siblings to be born in the U.S. His family came from, they were Russian-speaking and Yiddish-speaking, and they immigrated to New York. He grew up in Brooklyn and later opened a clothing store there when he got back from the war. When he told me all sorts of stories about moving from Brooklyn to Fort Belvoir, being a city kid from New York, and then going down to this place to do basic training. He faced quite a bit of anti-Semitism at the time, and he said these like 3 Italian kids from Chicago would just relentlessly bug him about it. He just, it got to the point where he was like, okay guys, like you gotta stop. So he went to the guy the barracks administrator, I'm not sure what that term is, and he just told him like, hey, like, I'm not gonna name any names, but it's really hard to be here with this shit happening. So he said the next day those guys were shipped out. They went somewhere else, and he always felt bad that he like not told on them because he didn't name any names. He was very specific with me. He was like, I did not give any names. You don't do that. But it was cool that the barracks administrator listened to him, and he was proud that he stood up for himself, and he later became a platoon sergeant. So it probably was the right thing to do. Speaking of that, his son also recently told me that after the war and the liberating of the concentration camps and just Germany itself, that a lot of Jews were still nervous and hesitant to get into American convoys to be taken to the base or to safety because of how they were brought there. They were a little hesitant. Either way, he would pull out his kippah and like put it on and speak Yiddish so that they were comfortable, and like, he would assure them that they're okay, which I think is it's a good story, like he was just a good man. And like I said, I never met my grandfather. He's not related to me blood-wise at all, but he's from the same area and ancestry as I am on my mother's side. Got a lot of stories from him, and I could go on and on. He was just so funny. Like he said all sorts of funny stuff, and I'm gonna add one more thing here that he said that was really funny, but and I'll end it with that. But yeah, good man. He wasn't related to me. I don't need like condolences or anything, but obviously to his family, absolute condolences. Again, with respect, please ask your elders questions about your culture, number 1. And then 2, if they're a World War II veteran, please ask them questions about it and try to record it because they're not going to be around much longer. Ben was 101.
He's named after King David, who was, he's a big cheese and he's Jewish.
Oh, King David.
Cheese. King David, he was very potent, very powerful. He was the one that was responsible for the destruction of the temple.
Whose temple? You're talking about
Certainly not
he
the one-
destroyed the Jewish temple?
No,
Oh.
the ark was in the temple, don't you remember?
I know all that stuff. You're not telling me anything I don't know. But don't blame King David.
I didn't. He fell in love.
Yeah, well, you're allowed to fall in love even if you're Jewish.